Swedish and EU lawmakers are in Taiwan. Staś Butler speaks to co-chair of the delegation, MEP Charlie Weimers.
Do you know what to do in the event of an emergency? Don't worry, the Defense Ministry's Civil Defense Handbook has you covered.
Cloudgate Dance Theater premieres a new work this Friday.
And in #Taiwan, I find the answer to an age-old question that's divided the country. This is Taiwan Insider.
Welcome to the show. European support for Taiwan has been growing stronger. Sweden sent their first parliamentary delegation to Taiwan this week. One of the leaders of the delegation is MEP Charlie Weimers, who authored the EU Parliament's EU-Taiwan report, which calls for closer ties with Taiwan. Staś Butler spoke with Charlie Weimers about their landmark trip.
What message are you trying to send by coming here to Taiwan at this point in time?
That Sweden and Europe stands with Taiwan, that history is on our side, that the rules-based world order will stand.
And what importance, in your view, does Taiwan have to both Sweden and to Europe?
Taiwan is extremely important, and I think people back at home start realizing that they understand the connection between, for instance, Ukraine and Taiwan. Sure, there are differences, but the similarities in that free peoples are facing imperial aggression and ambitions is very striking.
I mean, you bring me on to my next question, which is, do you think that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has changed people's minds in Europe about Taiwan?
Well, I think it has changed people's attitudes about China, and thus also Taiwan. That China is actively part of trying to destruct the European security order, and we won't accept that. And my personal ambition is to make the Chinese realize that there's a price to pay for that. With regards to Taiwan, a lot of us started our love affair with Taiwan by learning about its country's freedoms, democracy, and rule of law. But I think that Taiwan is also part of the realpolitik in the sense that China must understand that we will further our cooperation with Taiwan if the PRC continues to work with Russia. So it's both idealism and realpolitik.
And looking, I suppose, at China's relationship with the EU, in recent months, Lithuania has been facing a lot of, I suppose, what the EU calls economic coercion. They've taken that case to the World Trade Organization. Is that making the EU more hesitant about dealing with Taiwan?
I think the CCP has misread Europe, and they do not really understand our mentality if they think that we are going to be afraid of them. No, we are not. We are going to learn the lesson from this, and I think that my line, which is about decoupling from China, make us independent of Chinese value chains, is gaining ground. And I think Taiwan is a big part of that equation. I think also Australia, Japan, India is part of that. And this is what we need to do now. And China has been playing with fire, and we're going to make them learn that lesson.
I mean, you talk about the different allies, perhaps, in this partnership with Taiwan. Obviously, historically speaking, the US has been Taiwan's biggest ally in the West. How do you see the differences between what the EU has to offer Taiwan and perhaps what the US is doing?
Well, I think that the European Union has another role to play in the Indo-Pacific than the United States. I mean, we are never going to be as present militarily as the United States, but what we can do is to finally take care of the defense of European soil, mainly by ourselves. I mean, Germany is now stepping up its military spending, as is Sweden. Sweden and Finland is close to join NATO at the moment. And that is very good news for Taiwan. Why? Because the United States no longer has a two-theater strategy. They have a one-theater strategy. So if Europe can take care of Europe, that will leave the United States, liberate United States resources to actually safeguard the Indo-Pacific from Chinese imperialism. So this is crucial. I also think that one of the main lessons to learn from Lithuania is that we need a NATO for trade. We need an Article 5 in case China or anyone else try to coerce small countries into not being free to set their own foreign policy. This should be one of the European Union's main priorities, to gather a global alliance of like-minded partners in the defense of natural sovereignty.
And as a final question, do you have any message for the people of Taiwan having come here for the first time?
Well, I do want to thank the people of Taiwan for their hospitality, for being so friendly with us, and it's heartwarming to see that what we do in Europe actually means so much for this people that is facing such a big and ruthless neighbor in the PRC.
Would you know what to do in the event of an emergency? Well, Taiwan's defense ministry is looking to make sure that you do. Earlier this week, it issued a civil defense handbook to teach people how to be prepared.
The air raid siren goes off. Where should people hide? What if someone gets hurt? In order to prepare the public for national emergencies and potential military attack, the Defense Ministry published a civil defense handbook on Tuesday. The handbook includes emergency response QR codes that shows people where and how to evacuate and what to do in medical emergencies. It also includes information on how to distinguish different sirens, where to hide, what postures to take in hiding, and what to do when power or water is cut off. It also lists the essential items you should take with you if you need to run. The handbook is just the first one put out for the public. Local governments will make adjustments according to jurisdiction. Authorities say the booklet will be handed out soon to all citizens. They hope that everyone will become familiar with civil defense knowledge, so the next time the siren sounds, everyone will be prepared.
Taiwan's COVID-19 numbers keep hitting new highs. Earlier this week, new Taipei city government laid out a plan to allow mild cases of COVID-19 to quarantine at home. This way, it can spare the country's healthcare system. An elaborate flowchart shows how New Taipei City will go about handling mild COVID-19 cases. The idea here is that people with mild COVID-19 symptoms will be allowed to ride out the duration of their infection at home. First, hospitals will evaluate which COVID cases could quarantine at home. Then, health department officials will reach out to the selected people and set up apps that can monitor their conditions remotely. Each person in home quarantine will receive a care package containing food and other everyday goods. Hospitals will be responsible for checking in with patients and making sure they are in good condition. Through the app, they can stay up to date with each patient's needs and assess what kind of follow-up treatment they need if they need it at all. A hospital in New Taipei City started testing this model on Monday. New Taipei City Mayor Ho Yo-yi attended a press conference where he spoke to a person in home quarantine remotely. Ho says his city is ready to roll out the home quarantine program. He's waiting for the go-ahead from the central government. New Taipei City has seen the most COVID-19 cases over the past week, so there's an immediate need for home quarantine there. And as Taiwan's most populous city, New Taipei knows it has a lot of people to protect. The city's home quarantine scheme aims to give COVID patients the care they need without putting strain on resources.
After a hiatus due to COVID-19, Taiwan's renowned dance troupe, Cloudgate Theatre, is back in business. Their newest performance, Send in a Cloud, will debut this Friday.
Taiwan's Cloudgate Dance Theater presents their first work since the pandemic, Send in a Cloud. The performance features Japanese saxophonist Yasuaki Shimitsu's rendition of Bach's cello suites, with sound designed by Grammy-winning artist Marcello Agnes. Each dancer tells a different story. They express their deepest emotions, loneliness, fear, and anxiety, while displaying the many facets of the human experience. Send in a Cloud is divided into two unique performances. 25 dancers, divided into two troupes, dance to their own life stories. Artistic director Zhen Zhonglong says he hopes Send in a Cloud can be a rare gift resulting from the pandemic. He wants to give viewers an evening of personal inspiration, laughs, and joy. Dancers' life stories will come together as their choreography coalesces. Send in a Cloud stories are woven together, piece by piece, and each dancer expresses their innermost emotions through their personal dance styles. Send in a Cloud premieres in Taipei at the National Theatre Hall on April 15th. The show will make its way to Taichung and Kaohsiung in late April and May.
Next up, Leslie finds the answer to an age-old question that's divided Taiwanese society in #Taiwan.
Here's a burning question that's kept Taiwanese society divided for eons now. Is it IKEA or is it EE-kea? You might think I'm joking, but this is a legitimate topic of contention between family and friends in Taiwan. The number of times I've seen a docile conversation get derailed over the correct pronunciation of a Swedish furniture brand should be zero, but it's not. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me lay it out for you. When it comes to foreign languages adopted and integrated into Taiwanese life, Taiwan likes to make some interesting decisions on pronunciation. For example, if you were to talk about a smartphone app in Taiwan, you wouldn't say app, you would say APP. And I know what you're about to say. But Leslie, app isn't an acronym, why would you? Look, I know. I very much know. Believe me, I've been here for 7 years. But I am just one man. I cannot change an entire society's linguistic habits. So divisive is the pronunciation of what I call IKEA that it reached the highest levels of Taiwanese diplomacy. You see, Taiwan is hosting a parliamentary delegation from Sweden led by Boriana Ahlberg. And our very own foreign minister Joseph Wu asked her, how do you pronounce the name of the furniture brand from your country?
I try to ask you about some pronunciation, but a lot of people here misunderstand or not very clear. It's about IKEA or IKEA. It's a very popular brand over here. A lot of people call it IKEA, but I don't know whether that is correct.
Ahlberg told Wu to answer his question, he should watch Lucas Engström, a Swedish YouTuber in Taiwan.
Oh, but you have to watch YouTuber Lucas Engström because he asked me the same question yesterday when he interviewed Lars Adaktusson and me. So we can keep it secret for a while. This video will be released next week. So please watch Lucas Engström's channel.
Ever insistent, Wu asked Ahlberg to give him an answer on the spot, and this is what she said.
EE-kea.
IKEA.
So it turns out it's neither IKEA or EE-kea. It's EE-kea. Both sides in Taiwan are wrong. And I don't think Taiwan wants to be right anymore. I think people here just want to invent their own language. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to download the RTI app. And before we go, here's a look at some of the other stories that are on our radar.
Taiwanese independence advocate Peng Mingming passed away last week at the age of 98. In 1964, Peng was arrested by Taiwan's authoritarian government for sedition before he fled to Sweden and later to the US in 1970. While abroad, Peng established the Formosan Association for Public Affairs and worked as a teacher. After returning to Taiwan, he ran for president in Taiwan's first direct presidential elections in 1996. He later became a senior advisor to President Chen Shui-bian. Peng's foundation says his final words were Taiwan and China are separate. This is an ironclad truth. Taiwan is seeing a major spike in COVID-19 cases with daily case numbers in the hundreds throughout this week. Health Minister Chen Shizhong says he's expecting that number to break 1,000 later in April based on the relatively high transmissibility of the Omicron variant. He says case numbers could possibly reach 10,000 in 1 or 2 months and peak around that time. As COVID-19 infection numbers rise, Taiwan's schools have relaxed standards for school-wide shutdowns. Previously, only 2 positive tests were enough for a school to suspend instruction. Now, schools will only shut down when 1/3 or 10 of their classes report infections. Universities, where 1/3 of departments have positive cases, will close as well.
Well, everything's about Sweden today. So, guys, I want to ask you, what is your favorite thing about Sweden? Leslie.
I'm going to go with Swedish meatballs is what I like.
Those are delicious.
Whether or not I've had authentic Swedish meatballs, that remains to be seen.
The ones from Ikea?
Yeah, I believe so.
Those are authentic.
Well, there's actually a perfect segue into my answer, which I think you might have guessed by now, but that is EYE-kea. Otherwise known as EYE-kea. I mean, the age-old question, Leslie addressing that. Yeah, obviously a great place, great products, great food. What's not to love?
Really? And actually, I really love Sweden itself as a destination. And they have a really cool place called Gamlestan. It's their old city. It's like the most charming and best preserved medieval city in Europe.
Oh, wow.
So it's beautiful.
Sounds amazing.
We got to go there sometime.
Yeah, Insider goes abroad.
Right, on a direct flight, right? That's what they're working for, towards. So anyway, thanks for tuning in to Taiwan Insider. I am Natalie Tso.
I'm Leslie Liao.
And I'm Staś Butler. Make sure to follow us on our social media channels. You can catch us on Facebook and on YouTube.
And leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
Or if you're the shy type, send us a message. Anyway, guys, we'll be back next week. Until then, see you around.